So we might as well get this meeting started. Welcome, everybody, to the September 13th City Commission meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first item of business tonight is the consent agenda. Everybody's had a chance to review that. We can make a motion.
Move for approval. I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, item 3, consider request to close Main Street from 5th to 7th Street, 6th Street from Main to the east and west alleys, and Broadway from Main to the east and west alleys, and for use of picnic tables and trash containers on October 6, 2022 for the Taste of Newton. Denise.
Technical difficulties again. This one's dead. Okay. Okay, so you have a request for the Taste of Newton for closing of Main Street and some picnic tables and trash containers, and this will be happening on October 6th, and they are wanting to close the street starting at noon and would reopen at 10, and staff has reviewed this request. I know that Main Street might not be open by then, but we will work through that.
Yeah, it probably will not be completed south of the tracks, the work that's ongoing.
Okay.
You suppose we can take all the orange cones out for that night?
No. All the orange cones off of,
Just where all the
food vendors
trucks
will
are
be.
gonna be.
Further north.
yeah,
Okay.
this will be north of tracks,
Yeah.
that's all
Oh,
south.
that's right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So construction should not interfere with this event,
Yeah, it shouldn't
is
at
what
all.
we're saying? Okay.
We hope not.
Or you might recommend people come in on Broadway instead of First
Yeah.
Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the detour will be on First Street for Main Street. It'll be First to Walnut, and so it's going to be, there'll be a lot of people. I've asked the contractor to make sure that the First Street intersection is free of issues
Okay.
on this night.
And Pam has already ordered a perfect 72-degree night, sunshine, no wind, right?
Right.
No rain. Okay.
We haven't had it.
I would move for approval of this request.
I second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, item 4, consider request to close First Street from Meridian to Grandview on September 30th, 2022 for the high school homecoming parade.
Okay, the high school homecoming parade is going to be from 5:45 to 5:30. They will start over there at Meridian and go to Grandview, go down Grandview for just that little bit, and then through the park round. I want to call it a roundabout, but that's not Park Circle. There you
Athletic
go.
Park Circle.
Yeah, and staff has reviewed this and are okay with this request as well.
I move we approve to close First Street from Meridian to Grandview on September 30.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, item 5, chili cook-off. Denise,
Yeah.
item A.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to give you the overview of all of these. So this is a request to close 6th Street from Poplar to Main, and then they're asking for some snow fencing and trash containers for the chili cook-off, and that would be starting at 9 o'clock, I believe, or 8 o'clock a.m., and then going to 1:30 in the afternoon. And then the second request is for a temporary alcohol permit for that same day, and that is going to be through Grace Hill Winery. They are the ones who are requesting to have that. And then the third request is also a resolution so that that alcohol can be on 6th Street. If it's on a public or a public property like the park or something like that, that's a different, that we don't have to go through this part with the state for a resolution, but because it's on a public street, we have to designate that street as being the street that that alcohol is going to be on, and then they have to take responsibility for watching of that. They do meet all the requirements for all that. So I will need 3 motions for each of those.
I would move we approve the request to close 6 to Poplar and approve the snow fencing for the chili cook-off.
I second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.
I move that we consider a request for a temporary alcohol permit for the chili cook-off.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, on this 6th Street, I was at a stand meeting, or, well, I think is what it was called, the first one I've been to, and they were expressing on how, in some of the events that we have had, where outside of the fenced perimeters, that people have been noticed drinking in, outside of the, this was something that was very discouraging to several. And they didn't ask me to speak about that, so I'm speaking on my own about that. And so is this going to present a problem then on?
I will just tell you that part of the thing for the requirement is that they have to have security for that. And United Way is the one who is the sponsoring event. And so they have a sign up for security at each one of the gates where people can come through. So they have some security that's already in place for that.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, they expressed that same thing about some events that had been held, and they were concerned about how that got past security. And I'm repeating secondhand, but I can say that there was concern about observing that taking place, especially with families with children. So I mean, all we can do is rely on what they say they're going to do. I guess if that isn't done, it gives us certainly enough thought to maybe not consider that in the future.
And I can relay that on to the committee for that. That's no problem.
I would appreciate it.
Yes, sure.
And I was not asked to bring that up. I was just sitting here thinking about it as I went to that meeting, and I think there was some strong mention made about
I do serve on that board and everything, so I will definitely we have a meeting coming up, so I will definitely make note of that to them.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you.
sure. And if you would like a resolution number, that resolution number is,
If I may,
we have
you've got a motion and a second, and
we have to
we,
vote on them.
excuse me.
Yeah, so all those in favor of B, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, resolution number, Denise.
okay, that resolution number is G-1293.
I move we approve resolution -G1293.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, item 6, Kelly, consider a contract amendment to authorize additional funding for the lighting of the Ice House mural.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners and Mayor. Before you this evening is a request for an amendment for an agreement that the Commission adopted in May of this year with Oak LLC. They are the owners of the Ice House, the new mural that you can see across from the depot and the train tracks. It's a great welcome to our community, and they graciously agreed to get it in place during our sesquicentennial year. So we really appreciate that. Our part of the agreement was that we would pay for a not-to-exceed amount of, and the agreement was at $8,500 for solar lighting, so that it would be low maintenance and, not an ongoing electrical cost for the owner. Once it's installed, it is the responsibility of the owner to maintain going forward. However, like everything else, commodity prices have skyrocketed. When we got back with the contractors who originally gave us the estimates and said we're ready to go ahead and order, the price had escalated from the original $8,500 amount to between $12,000 and $15,000 at this point. So the request is, and staff recommendation is, we still feel good about going forward with solar. In the long run, it's going to be less expensive and less maintenance. However, the prices of commodities, as you know, have been so across the board. We are hesitant to wait too much longer to go ahead and order, because even as we were having discussions, the contractors said that they would not be able to freeze the bids at this time. And so the sooner we can go forward, the better, in our opinion, if you are so amenable. And in your packet, there is a little one-page first amendment to the mural lighting agreement. And basically, it's just what I surmised for you. Did I miss anything, sir?
Nope, you got it.
So I have a question on that. I made a note here.
Yes, ma'am.
So is that in this budget year? Because I know that when we, for next year's budget, we had to, when you had to find 5,000, you said something had to be cut for that. How does this work with regard to this? Because this is a maximum additional 6,500 that you're, so where does that come from? And
This is coming from EcoDevo.
Yeah, the sales tax.
Economic Development.
Development funds. And recall that we had set aside, you guys had kind of given us a ballpark number that for all of the events and everything we were going to do, remember the Ferris wheels and all those kinds of things. Because some of those costs were lesser, we feel like we can absorb this. Otherwise, we would try to tell you that we can't do this, we might have to go a different direction, so.
okay.
Are we stuck with the contractor we have? Is there another contractor that might?
I would defer to, Rebecca's been handling this, but I think we had 4 or 5 different people bid it for us, and we're still with the least
Okay.
expensive bid, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's,
There's been a
solar
lot
is
of-
high demand right now.
Well, there's been a lot of blame and, supply chain problems. It's been an opportunity to make a higher gross margin than people originally
Yeah.
were planning on. You know what to do.
We shall continue to do our best, and we'll probably even quote it one more time before we go, but
Yeah.
the longer we wait, the more expensive it's getting.
Yeah. How many, what are the lights like? I don't know that we, I know
I
they're solar
don't know
powered,
that.
but
Yeah,
As I understand it, it is an uplight,
LED.
an LED uplight.
okay. Will they be, so they're on the ground shining up?
Yeah, sorry, but that's all I know. Rebecca has
that's
handled
okay.
this one.
That's
but
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can get a picture for you and send it to you so you can see.
Yeah, I was just worried about them getting damaged or something, because that's right by that little road or whatever you call it, I don't know. But people drive down that, sometimes you can see cars going by there beating trains or something.
I believe it's going to be attached to the wall proper,
Okay.
of the building, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would move for approval.
I would second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Yeah, I think it would be nice if we could bid it again, just to be sure, but,
Oh, we will, for
yeah,
sure, we will,
thank you.
absolutely.
Okay, be interested to know.
But we just needed to amend the contract language because it had a not to exceed. And so we're hopeful it'll be less than the 15,000,
Yeah.
but the way prices were going, we just
Understood.
didn't want to have to come back to y'all again.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, item 7 is consider approval of an extra principal payment of 1.2 million for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade loan. Donna.
Good evening, I'll take this one. In 2016, the City Commission decided to maintain the 38% plant upgrade fee, as we all remember, so that we could pay the water treatment plant loan off 10 years early. Since that time, we have paid 5 extra principal payments for a total of $4,400,000. We've also paid the sewer increases that were planned for 2017 and 2018. So the sewer usage charge for the citizens has remained the same. All receipts and expenditures for this wastewater treatment plant upgrade fee are accounted for separately for transparency purposes. So I'm asking now the commission to approve the 6th annual extra principal payment for this loan in the amount of $1.2 million. And the reason it's got that little $200,000 in there is every time we do this, the state re-amortizes the schedule, and they bring the payment down. And we can't make larger payments than what it is. So this is kind of covering the last couple of payments we went down. It goes down about $80,000 a year when we do this. All this, the money we are using was collected from the 38% fee in 2021. So this is already in savings, ready to go. This is not from 2022. And I'm just coming to you to get the approval. And then once the state has the money, it takes 60 days. We have to tell them it's coming. And then they'll send us a reamortization, and you will approve the amendment to the loan. And the second sheet I gave you was just, I've given this to you before, and this kind of shows you where we are with paying this off and what we've paid in the past. And it just, hopefully you can tell by how my mind works and you can see what I'm talking about.
What will our principal balance be when you make this payment, roughly?
I did not bring that amortization with me.
Okay.
I know our principal payments right now are around $792,000 per year. And it comes down about $80,000 once we pay this. So around 720 or less
Okay.
is what we're going to end up with next year.
Thank you. I move to approve the $1.2 million extra principal payment.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 8 is to consider an amendment to the closing for Building V. Chris.
Thank you, Mayor. This pertains to the sale of Building V at the airport. Previously, the City Commission approved a purchase and sale agreement of the building to an entity 620 North Oliver LLC. The sale of the property was to close on 8/11, and as we indicated in an earlier meeting, they were doing a deal with the financing. They needed additional time. So pursuant to the agreement, we're out of time. It requires an amendment to extend the closing date. That's what's been prepared for you and is to be considered. This would extend the closing date to any date on or before October 15th. We anticipate it closing on 9/22, but in case there were any other unforeseen needs to extend it further, we gave a little buffer there so we don't have to keep coming back for additional extensions. So you will get an update, obviously, from staff if that closes on 9/22. We are working through the final closing docs right now, which I will have the mayor sign. So if you're okay with the amendment, which city staff supports to make this closing happen, I'd ask that you make the approval of the extension contingent upon the city attorney's approval of final closing docs, which we will review and get those done before the 9/22 date.
And Chris alluded to this, but for the benefit of the public, the terms of the agreement did not change. Nothing has changed. Everything's still the sale price. Everything's the same. There was just some peculiarities, as you know, at the airport and concerns about not buying the land versus the long-term land lease and those kinds of things. So it seems to be
Right.
an interesting one for the title companies to try to get their arms around.
That's a good point. It doesn't change any of the terms in terms of, it simply, there's a provision in there that says time is of the essence, so it needs to close by that date. So we just want to change that date to allow a later closing date. That's the only change.
I move we approve the amendment plus the additional items that you just listed.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, item 9 is to consider a resolution authorizing a survey and description of lands necessary to be condemned for the construction of a rail spur in the Kansas Logistics Park. Chris.
This is a condemnation item, which it's been a little while since we've seen condemnation. Just for the benefit of the public, condemnation is government taking of certain real estate interests, but involves compensation for the fair market value of that property. This is the first procedural step in a condemnation. It's a resolution that calls for a survey and description of the land subject to condemnation. By no means does it commit the city to go forward with the final condemnation. It simply allows and facilitates that survey of the area being determined. City staff would anticipate returning at the next meeting, 9/27, with an ordinance that would allow the filing of a condemnation. But this would be that first step, and we would return back with a formal survey and description of the area. If you have any questions on that, I think we talked about, I think it was the same commission, but should you get to the point where it goes to a formal condemnation proceeding and there was a determination of the amount, you're not necessarily locked into that taking at that point. But again, first procedural step. there'll be a lot more information on this as we go forward. I would stand for any questions. If you do not have any questions, I'd ask for approval of the resolution.
Is there a resolution number?
Yes, that would be G-1294.
Okay, I move that we approve G1294, authorizing a survey and descriptions necessary for condemnation.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, we do not have anybody signed up for citizens forum tonight. So, yeah, but just in the future, I think last meeting we, I think it was put out a few minutes late, but yeah, go ahead if you'd come up and just, for the record, state your name and address. But in the future, sign up just so we have a record of it. But you're fine, go
Out
ahead.
here, I'll do that.
Okay,
Okay, first of all, my name is Philip Glass, and I live at 925 East 10th Street, and I've spoke here before. I want to ask two different questions. First of all, is there a quick trip coming to Newton?
the answer to that is when the plating process is worked through, they're moving in that direction.
Okay, because I talked to Stan Broadhagen, and he had mentioned it. There was one coming.
Yep, they're planning on it.
But
Yeah.
what, I knew that they'd originally, because several years ago, I talked to several of them, said they'd planned on coming to Newton, but they didn't get to purchase the land that they wanted at the time.
Okay,
But also in the fact that I spoke to C.J. Lanham that owns C.J.'s Restaurant, and he had mentioned that when Quick Trip goes, they bring another business with them, and he had already spoke to IHOP. They wanted to bring an IHOP out there where C.J.'s was. Well, it didn't pass. That Quick Trip didn't get the property that they wanted.
okay.
And the last one was, you still didn't say a prayer.
We did not, we're working on that.
Well, I was going to say, since you're a pastor, couldn't you say it?
I would rather not, because I'm elected to the bench, but
Okay, I was
Yeah.
going to say, I spoke to pastor at the Baptist church at the porch,
sure, yeah.
and he said, just give him a call. He'd be glad to any
He
time.
told me the same thing, so yeah, we have talked about it, and you're right, we did not start with that tonight, but it is on the radar, I would say. We need more than one person that's willing to do it. So we've reached out to the Ministerial Alliance here in town, but their attendance is very poor as well, so we need more than one person.
I appreciate your concern, and I certainly don't mind doing that from the bench myself.
Okay, well,
So
thank you very
I'll
much.
just add that. I've done it before, and I certainly think it's certainly a wonderful way to open.
Well, I thought since he was already a pastor that
Yeah.
he could do it.
Sure, I would rather not though, since I'm elected, and come to my church on Sunday if you want to hear me pray. How's that?
Well, I already go to one church.
Well, okay, if you want to hear me that bad, you can come on
You
Sunday.
visited me before at my church, so
You probably have, yep.
Thank you.
thank you, folks.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll go around. We'll start with Commissioner Cry.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Kelly?
I believe I notified you guys today, but we are trying to plan a joint work session with the Board of Education.
Yes.
And we have it tentatively scheduled for Monday, October 10th. So please hold that date. It is the regular school board meeting night. We will be meeting at Meridian Center. They're going to have a very brief business meeting at 5:30. Superintendent anticipates it will only last about 15 minutes, and then we would convene our work session, and we will be done by 7 p.m. So if you can please hold that time. We have two really large groups trying to get together between staffs and quorums for both governing bodies, so we kind of had to throw a dart and just finally pick a time. So as long as we can have a quorum, I think we're going to need to move forward.
For sure. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chris?
No, sir, thank you.
Suzanne?
Just one item, I wanted to let you know that at the next commission meeting, we would have on the agenda to discuss an operating agreement between the 4 member cities of the wholesale water district. We've talked about this off and on over the years, and know that the perfection period for the wells for the wholesale water district is coming to an end, and we're hoping to close that out this year. And the agreement that we have in place was only for the end of when we paid off our bonds. And we had a little bit of a gap there, but we need to have an operating agreement in place between those 4 member cities. I'm going to send that to each of you so you could have some time to look through it. But we would have it on the agenda as an item to discuss next next time. And then we have on the calendar in November, on November 3rd, that we are trying to get all of the commission and council for the member cities together and the Wholesale Water District Board. And there would be a special meeting call for that so that you could all review it together. And if there's any questions, and we'd have the district attorney available, and we'd be able to go through all of that together and hopefully pass it all together. Pretty important document because it's about the future of our water.
November
Donna?
the 3rd will be a special call then?
Yeah, 7 o'clock, please.
I have one item.
I think we've already talked.
Today, the $4 million bonds for the PBC were sold, and they were sold at an average interest rate of 4.22, which is not bad. We could have went up to 5.25, and we're glad we did not. But they were signed today for the sale. Everything will be passed on Thursday morning by the PBC board, and then we'll get the money the 1st of October.
Commissioner Valentine?
Without fail, thank you to our first responders for representing all of those, our great city heroes out there. We thank you very much, appreciate you very much. Glad you're here. I had an opportunity to attend Grand Central's monthly potluck last night. I'm happy to say they're really moving forward with some good, steady attendance. I think I counted nearly 40. I might have been, give or take, 1 or 2. And very enthusiastic people and enthusiastic for participation. This was very good to see. And then I had the opportunity tonight to attend the monthly American Legion Family Night. Because we had an executive session tonight, I didn't get to stay and hear the speaker, but her name was Connie Palacio. I don't know, sounds like a lot of people know her. She's one of the original Rosie the Riveters. And so I'm anxious to hear about what she said tonight. They had, Paul told me that they had the biggest attendance tonight that they've ever had. It was quite packed. So I thought I'd just like to share that, like to give them a shout out because they do so much in our community for the veterans. So we're thankful for them.
Vice Mayor Kane? Nothing, okay. Last night, I don't know, maybe once or twice a year, I get asked to go and speak to Boy Scouts as part of their requirements from an elected person. And 2 things that surfaced from that. It was a good reminder of just how much of what we do here in the city affects our lives every day. And for the average citizen, I think that what decisions we make right here at this bench affect our lives more than even what our state or federal government does. So many laws and so many things that we do happen right here, affect our lives every day. But the second part of it that was really exciting to me, and a scout is always honest, and so I don't think I was dishonest, but I was asked if I had bodyguards. And I said, why do you think they call them Secret Service for a reason? And so I'm looking for volunteers that would want to go with me next time to serve as bodyguards to go talk to the Boy Scouts just for fun.
I'm in.
You're in? Okay, I thought you would be, Rod. I appreciate it. All right, if nothing else,